Hello and welcome to Safe Pasture. My name is Sherry Hammers, and today we are going into chapter 11 in the Masters Indwelling book by Andrew Murray. And the title of this chapter is Triumph of Faith. He starts off with John 4, verse 50. And the man believed the word that Jesus had spoken unto him. Excuse me. He says, let me quote from the Gospel according to St. John, the 4th chapter, beginning at the 46th verse. So Jesus came again into Cana of Galilee, where he made the water wine. And there was a certain nobleman whose son was sick at Capernaum. When he heard that Jesus was come up out of Judea into Galilee, he went unto him and besought him that he would come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Then said Jesus unto him, Except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. There you have the word believe the first time. The nobleman saith unto him, Sir, come down ere my child die. Jesus saith unto him, Go thy way, thy son liveth. And the man believed the word that Jesus had spoken unto him, and he went his way. There you have that word the second time. And as he was now going down, his servants met him and told him, saying, Thy son liveth. Then inquired he of them the hour when he began to amend. And he said unto him, Yesterday at the 7th hour the fever left him. So the father knew that it was at the same hour in the which Jesus said unto him, Thy son liveth, and himself believed, and his whole house. There you have the word faith. This story has often been used to illustrate the different steps of faith in the spiritual life. It was this use made of it in an address that brought the sainted Canon Battersby into the full enjoyment of rest. He had been a most godly man, but had lived the life of failure. He saw in the story what it was to rest on the word and trust the saving power of Jesus. And from that night, he was a changed man. He went home to testify of it, and under God he was allowed to originate the Keswick Convention. Let me point out to you the three aspects of faith which we have here. First, faith seeking, then faith finding, and then faith enjoying. Or still better, faith struggling, faith resting, faith triumphing. First of all, faith struggling. Here is a man, a heathen, a nobleman, who has heard about Christ. He has a dying son at Capernaum, and in his extremity leaves his home and walks some 6 or 7 hours away to Cana of Galilee. He has heard of the prophet, possibly as one who has made water wine, and he has heard of his other miracles around Capernaum, and he has a certain trust that Jesus will be able to help him. He goes to him, and his prayer is that the Lord will come down to Capernaum and heal his son. Christ said to him, Except ye see signs and wonders, you will not believe. He saw that the nobleman wanted him to come and stand beside the child. This man had not the faith of the centurion who said, Only speak a word. He had faith. It was faith that came from hearsay, and it was faith that did to a certain extent hope in Christ. But it was not the faith in Christ's power, such as Christ desired. Still, Christ accepted and met his faith. After the Lord had thus told him what he wished, a faith that he could fully trust him, the nobleman cried the second time, Sir, come down ere my child die. Seeing his earnestness and his trust, Christ said, Go thy way, thy son liveth. And then we read that the nobleman believed. He believed and he went his way. He believed the word that Jesus had spoken. In that he rested and was content, and he went away without having any other pledge than the word of Jesus. As he was walking homeward, the servants met him to tell him his son lived. He asked at what hour he began to amend. Excuse me. And when they told him, he knew it was at the very hour that Jesus had been speaking to him. He had at first a faith that was seeking and struggling and searching for blessing. Then he had a faith that accepted the blessing simply as it was contained in the word of Jesus. When Christ said, Thy son liveth, he was content and went home and found the blessing, the son restored. Then came the third step in his faith. He believed with his whole house. That is to say, he did not only believe that Christ could do just this one thing, the healing of his son, but he believed in Christ as his Lord. He gave himself up entirely to be a disciple of Jesus, and that not only alone, but with his whole house. Many Christians are like the nobleman. They have heard about a better life. They have met certain individuals by whose Christian lives they have been impressed, and consequently have felt that Christ could do wonderful things for a man. Many Christians say in their heart, "I am sure there's a better life for me to live. How I wish I could be brought to that blessed state." But they have not much hope about it. They have read and prayed, but they have found everything so difficult. If you ask them, "Do you believe Jesus can help you to live this higher life?" they say, "Yes, he is omnipotent." If you ask, "Do you believe Jesus wishes to do it?" they say, "Yes, I know he is loving." And if you say, "Do you believe that he will do it for you?" they at once say, "I know he is willing, but whether he will actually do it for me, I do not know. I am not sure that I am prepared. I do not know if I'm advanced enough. I do not know if I have enough grace for that." And so they are hungering, struggling, wrestling, and often remain unblessed. This state of things sometimes goes on for years. They are expecting to see signs and wonders and hoping that God by a miracle will put them all right. They are just like the Israelites. They limit the Holy One of Israel. Have you ever noticed that it is the very people whom God has blessed so wonderfully who do that? What did the Israelites say? "God hath provided water in the wilderness, but can he provide the table in the wilderness?" We do not think he can. And so we find believers who say, "Yes, God has done wonders. The whole of redemption is a wonder, and God has done wonders for some whom I know. But will God take one so feeble as I and put me entirely right?" The struggling and the wrestling and the seeking are the beginnings of faith in you, a faith that desires and hopes, but it must go on further. And how can that faith advance? Look at the second step. There is the nobleman, and Christ speaks to him this wonderful word, "Go thy way, thy son liveth." And the nobleman simply rests upon that word of the living Jesus. He rests on it, and without any proof of what he is to get, and without one man in the world to encourage him, he goes away home with the thought, "I have received the blessing I sought. I have got life from the dead for my son. The living Christ promised it me, and on that I rest." The struggling, seeking faith has become a resting faith. The man has entered into rest about his son. Well, we're going to stop there for today. We'll finish up this chapter next time. I hope this series has been a blessing to you. Please like and share, leave a comment, and hope to see you on the next video. God bless.